We're live. All right, all right. I gotta say, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. I didn't start off the way we normally start. A lot of people are going to be tuning in today to try to figure out um, basically what today's show is about. Today's show is about I am ready to buy a home. It's home buyers kind of like 101, giving you guys just an overview, right? So a few days ago, I started learning a lot more about the process, and this is not this we can't do everything in one show. So everything will not happen in one show. So today is going to be a basic overview, like the start process, and then we're going to talk later on, maybe show number two about the financial part. Have a broker involved, so we're going to have someone else, come on later on, and just we're gonna wrap everything up probably by the third show. So today's show is just going to give you a basic overview of some of the terms, some of the things you might hear. Like so, home buying can be very confusing. If you're hearing stuff like closing costs, you're hearing stuff like down payment, you're hearing stuff like realtor, you're hearing stuff like real estate agent, broker, all these terms that you're hearing that you might not, you don't have a clue, right? And for a lot of people, it can be very scary, like just trying to buy a home for the first time. You want a home is the American dream. So that's what we're going to talk about today, right? So on today's Chat and Friends, I have someone who I believe is one of the most skilled real estate agents I know. She's very good. Um, and as you guys know, feel free to share. And later on, we're going to open up the phone lines. You guys can, give us a call. Let us know what what questions you might have for her. But I'm not gonna just talk about her for like the next half an hour or 15 minutes. I'm gonna have her talk about herself. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest for today. Her name is Vanessa Cannon. Vanessa, welcome.
Hi,
All
hi.
right, all right. Hi, Vanessa. You can hear me well, right?
I can hear you well, Fabian. How are you
All
today?
right. I'm great. I'm great. So, Vanessa, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start to give out the basics, the 101s.
Well, first of all, let me just say thank you. I'm super excited to be on your show, and thank you for having me.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Go ahead. All right. So how long have you been doing, real estate? How long have you
I want to say in 2004, I bought my first home. And after that, I bought six more. And I was like, hey, this is kind of fun. So I decided in 2008, I became licensed as a real estate agent. Within the last 3 years, I've been working with one of the best and well known investors here in New York. So I've mentored and trained under him for 3 years. And that kind of honed in my skills on investing and knowing how to look for an investment and the right investment property and knowing how to figure out the numbers.
All right, so that's great. So, and just talking a little bit about investing, we're not going to get into investing today because I'm going to have that down the line.
That's
So I actually
so
have
broad.
someone. Yes, that's super broad. So I'm going to actually have someone in. He's very, very knowledgeable about real estate investing. So I'm going to have him in with you, and we're going to have like a little panel discussion about things that
Wonderful.
people should know, right? But today we're going to talk about the basics. Like, what should I know? What are the basics of um, just I'm trying to buy a home. I know I've been saving money for a little bit. I know I want to buy a home. So where do we start? How do
So
we start?
first, I'd like to say, just for myself, my goal and my mission is always to educate everyone so that they can make the best decision for themselves. And also, the goal is to get you a good house that you'll love for years to come. Okay. So, some of the things that I am usually the first thing, are you an agent? Are you a broker? You know, is
So
there a
so
difference?
what is the difference? What is the difference between an agent? What is the difference between a bro? Can you like kind of break that down for us a little bit?
Yeah. So, all three are licensed by the state. A realtor is a part of association. So it's called NAR, National Association of Realtors. And those individuals are also, like myself, would be a part of the board, local board in their area. So I'm part of the Long Island Board of Realtors. And the difference between the realtor and the agent, we are held to a higher standard to provide a better, I won't say a better service, but there are different standards and principles that we're held to. So if there's something that we may be not doing or we didn't disclose, that is an avenue to quickly go and maybe get that solution resolved.
And so in terms of licensing, so just do both have to be licensed? So do you have to be a licensed?
Yes, everyone has to be licensed. The broker, now the broker is someone who holds the independent agent license. So he has the license, he has the business, and a broker, basically, I won't say some manage depending on how the structure of the office is, but they are responsible for the actions of the agent. When you see my business card, you'll see mine, it says associate broker. So that means a broker is actually holding my license, but I do have the ability to go out and open my own brokerage.
Okay, so all right, so now I'm ready to buy a home, and I'm so I know I want to, like, let's say a one family home. Should I be looking for a broker or should I be looking for an agent, or does it really make that much of a difference?
It doesn't, it does make a difference to a degree, but I always tell people you have to use discernment. And we'll talk about the importance of a consultation a little later on. And this is where you can tell. Most times a broker will be more or less in the office helping their agents close deals and get deals. Not a lot of brokers are out. Some are depending on whether they're working for themselves or they have a team. So it's different on the setup.
Okay. So now, so that's a agent, realtor, and broker, right? So those are the
Right.
basic definitions we have so far about, who the people are involved, right? So
Correct.
um just so like I said, I just want to give a broad overview before we get into some more specifics, right? So
Right.
you're going to buy a home, obviously. So I'm the buyer, right? And if I'm
Okay.
buying a home from, let's say, Cheryl Douglas, right? That's my former supervisor at ACS. So I'm buying a home from Cheryl, and so she would be the seller. So the seller also has, does the seller have the seller has an agent as well, right? Or not always, or how does that work?
So the seller does have an agent representing them. And we kind of talk about that also a little later with the, when we go down to what's the difference between a buyer's representative or a buyer representing you and then the listing agent. What
Ah,
I would kind of want to start with is most people want to know, hey, what do I need to buy a home? What are the qualifications? So number one, hands down, credit. Credit is key. Credit is buying power. You have to have good credit.
say
And
that
for the
again. Say that again. Say that one
you
more time.
have
Say
to
that
have
one more.
good credit. It is
Okay.
key. It is the key to buying in America. Okay.
And
So
what do you think? What's a good range when you say good credit, right? Like, so what is a good range you would say if I'm trying to buy a home? Because I mean, I know a lot of folks who are like, oh my God, I know I kind of messed up with the student loan a little bit, and then I kind of had this going on, and I had a few late
right.
payments here. So I mean, is there a range that you would say that's, you know,
Yeah. So for, let's say, the first time home buyers program through FHA, Sony May here in New York, they're looking to have a 640 or above. Now, there are
okay,
some lenders that will approve you at a 580 and higher. However, you probably will have a higher interest rate.
interest rate,
So,
right?
in order to position yourself, the higher the credit, the better it works out for you in terms of financing.
Got you.
Yeah.
So credit is key. So for those of you just logging in, today we're talking to Vanessa Cannon. She's talking about kind of like overall about the home buying process, right? Like things, terms you need to know. And like I said to you guys, this is a three-part series, right? So we're gonna do kind of the basics so that when we start talking later on in the next episodes, you're like, okay, I know what that is. I know what this is, right? So you have to kind of go back and watch if you're just tuning in for the first time. So, which she says, importantly enough, credit is
Credit
key.
is
Credit is
key.
key. So she said a 640. So I have a 650 and I have some money saved. What is next? What is next for me? What should I be doing next?
Great. You said it the right order. Great credit, some money saved. So the question is how much money saved? Because here in New York, you have to pay your down payment and your closing costs. So the down
You
payment,
said
like
here you said here in New York. So there's other places where you don't have to pay closing costs
each
or
state is each state is different. I do have license in Georgia also, and how the down payment and what the sellers pay is very different from New York.
okay, that's good to know. So here in New York, for all my New York people, you have to pay the down payment and the closing costs, right? And she said it's
Correct.
how much you have saved. So that's kind of important, the amount of money that you have saved.
Right.
Whether you have the full 20% or right the or if you have even more, right? Or
So what I tell people, they go, "What should I have saved?" I say 50 to 80,000 in the bank. Some people have it. Some people say I need to work on it, and some people say, "You know what? I have half in the bank and half at home." And when you're getting a government loan, there has to be a paper trail.
when
So
you say
the
half at home, when you say half at home, you mean like under the mattress or like
mattress, a lot of
okay.
people in New York have money under the mattress, believe it
All
or
right.
not.
So,
So
so for the people at home, don't save your money under the mattress, right? So, like she said, there has to be a paper trail, some kind. So, right. So they have to see a way of that this money is not like I guess illegal money, maybe, or some.
exactly. They have to be able to, like I said, have a paper trail. And a good lender would be able to tell you how to properly funnel that money and transition it into the bank. So that's when a good lender comes in and tell you how to do that. But if you're planning to buy within the next year and you're on this broadcast, start slowly but surely putting that money in the bank if you plan on using it.
Right, slowly but surely, 9,999 at a time. Okay.
Yes.
So, so you put the money into the bank. You said at least 50,000 was your recommendation saved, right, in the bank. 50,000
Right.
saved.
Right.
Okay. So you have the
50,000 more.
50,000 or more saved. And now my next step, I have the 50,000, I have the 650 credit. What is my next step after that?
So in most cases, depending on the cost of the home, and
Oh
if you're
wait, I want to back. I'm sorry. Before you continue, and I know some people are like, "Oh my God, I don't have 50,000," right? But let's say, for example, you have like a pension. Can you borrow that money and to put towards your home, or if you have like a 401k or like a some kind of deferred kind of payment
yeah.
thing? Can you?
So anytime that you have a 401k, a 403b, an IRA, you are able to access those funds without being penalized because it is going towards an investment. And I do notice that a lot of people don't realize that they can use those. So it is beneficial to the home buying process. And I would say you would have to reach out to whoever is managing those funds and see how much you could access in the process
Got
of
you.
buying.
So I have the 50. I have some money in the 401k in my pension, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to take out this money to go and get this home. My next step now would be, I didn't mean to cut you off, but your next step at that point would be what?
So I always say people sometimes have that down payment, but not the closing costs. And that's why I
Uh,
always say 50,000 or more, because as you know, the real estate here in New York, it is not cheap, right? So the closing cost is normally 4% um, of the price negotiated on the contract. And people go, well,
4%.
what is closing costs? What
Right.
4%? So closing costs kind of covers. And like I said, we're going to have a segment where a good friend and colleague, associate of mine will come on and get into more detail. But some of the things that are included in the closing costs is credit report, the processing fee, application fee, appraisal fee, the title insurance, bank
Okay, so
fee.
back up before you say the rest. You said so many things, and I know some of it might be. I don't want to run over anybody's head. So when you say appraise, what is an appraisal? Right. So can you tell me what an appraisal is, or can you give us an idea what is an appraisal for someone who has no idea what an appraisal is?
So an appraisal is for the bank. So in the home process, when you found a home and you and the seller has come to an agreement and your offer has been accepted and contracts have been signed, somewhere in that financial process, the bank who is lending you the money, they want to ensure that they're making a good investment. So they're going to send an appraiser out to come and appraise the property to ensure that if you're paying 550 for the property, it's well worth 550 and
Got
more.
you. Got
So
you. Got you.
the appraisal is for the bank's interest.
Got you. And when we get into the financial parts, we're going to talk about if an appraisal comes in higher or lower than what, and how that affects, I guess, the whole buying process. So we'll talk about that in the
Yeah.
financial piece. But we're not. I just did. I heard a term, and I'm like, I didn't want to kind of like just jump over the term, right?
Right.
So you were talking about the cost, that what's covered in the closing, right? So the appraisal and all these other things, right?
Right. So again, it's the credit report, the processing fee, you wanted the application fee, the appraisal fee, title insurance, bank fees, the mortgage recording tax. So those are some of the things, because
Wow.
people always ask me, 4%, what is in the closing costs? And the reason you have to have so much money saved, because that's not inclusive of your attorney fee, that's not inclusive of your inspection fee, and
So you have to have an attorney.
you have to have an attorney. And I like to
Yeah.
always tell people that are my new customers, I'm a one stop shop. So when you come to me, all you have to do is find the home. Say, I want that one. Other than that, I have excellent professionals. I have credit repair. I have a great lender. I have a great inspector. I have great attorneys. I have relationships in, different counties. So everyone that I work with are professional and everyone seems to like them. So I stick close with my team.
Got you. So these are the costs that are included in our closing costs, right? So
Correct.
another thing I know we wanted to touch on, and this time is going to run by so quickly, right? So one of the things we wanted to touch on was I've heard people use the term like pre-approval, and
Right.
so what is a pre-approval? Like what is that? What
So
is that?
once you've gone through the application process, which is the pre-qualification process, you get a pre-approval. A pre-approval is a piece of paper saying, hey, you are approved for this amount. Now, how do they determine that amount? So there are a couple of costs to owning a home, and that is principal, interest, tax, and insurance. Okay. So the bank has something called HQRs, and that is housing qualifying ratio, which is an annual percent of the income the bank uses to determine your qualification, your ability to pay the principal, interest, tax, and insurance.
Gotcha. Right. So the bank. So your pre-approval letter basically is that piece of paper that you're going to get from the bank saying, Fabian, I know you have this amount of money. We can qualify you for a home or pre-approve you for a home. You can go and purchase a home that's worth X amount of dollars, right? No
Correct.
more than X amount of dollars. So let's say my pre-approval is 500,000. I know I can't live in Brooklyn, basically, right? So, well,
You cannot.
right, right. So I have a pre-approval for 500,000, so I can now start looking for a home for 5,000, right?
Right.
So I have that pre-approval. I'm speaking to you, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready to buy a home for 500,000. What do you do at that point? What is your next step with me at that point?
So typically the consultation comes in, and the consultation can be interchangeable with the pre-approval, and the consultation can come before the pre-approval, or the pre-approval can come before the consultation. It just depends on how
Gotcha.
you meet. So if you don't have a pre-approval, that does not mean you cannot speak with an agent and they set you up on the right path, especially if you have no clue of how to begin. So, with the pre approval, now that you have that, we're going to set up a consultation. Now, some people are very apprehensive of a consultation. And now that we are in a COVID area, normally consultations take place face to face, and some are still doing those. But I give people the option. We can do a consultation via phone, we can do a consultation Zoom, FaceTime, whatever you're comfortable with. But it is important to have a consultation. Why? Because you want to know who you are working with.
Right, very, very important, right? I mean, and I think that's something we kind of talked about before. Like a lot of times, business. I know people say you don't have to be friends to do business, but I'm a vibe person, right? So you have to get like a certain vibe from someone to want to know that they're gonna have your best interest in heart, and they're gonna go out there and look for what you want, and not really to I'm going out there to make a commission. I'm gonna make sure that the person that comes to me get what they want, because in turn, if they're happy, my blessing is gonna come when they tell someone, listen, they found what I wanted, and it's a cycle. Right. So
Yes,
I'm a vibe person. So I think that consultation is just like super important.
it is, because you want to know that the person is listening to your needs. One of my uh, consultations, how I start my consultation is letting the person read what a buyer agent is. Some people are not familiar as to what a buyer agent is, and
I
most
have no clue what that is. So can you tell me what is a buyer agent?
so people get a little apprehensive about it because they have people who they know who bought a home before, and maybe they didn't go through the process for some form or reason. But a buyer's agent is basically someone who can represent you. It means better representation. It means someone looking out for you in this process. And that is very important because you want someone to look out for you. So, for instance, if you're looking for a home right now, or you're just kind of looking at some of the social media sites, Zillow, let's take Zillow. You
Right.
see a home and you call the number on there, you're calling the listing agent. And I want you to know that the listing agent has fiduciary duty to the seller. So that means they have the seller's interest in mind. So
Right.
in I won't say in all cases, but some cases, in most cases, it would affect your ability to really negotiate a good deal. And that's when a buyer agent and buyer representation is very important and key.
Right. And I think and I mean, just my layman's just kind of understanding, right? Like I would think like you would want someone who's kind of an expert in in that field to say, you know what, I know you're asking for 600,000, 525,000, but my Chad was only approved for 500,000, right? Um,
Right.
the house is probably worth more like 490, right? Like from your professional opinion, kind of going out there and looking at it, right? And that would be the buyer's kind of agent role to say, you know what, maybe speak to you and say, listen, I know you think it's worth 490, but maybe make an offer for 495, or maybe speak to that other agent and kind of say, you know what, listen, my client is kind of willing to pay, because then you don't have that, you have someone kind of representing. It's like going into court without a lawyer, right? I think.
It kind of, yeah, exactly. That is a good comparison analysis on that. So when you the properties are based off of the market value. Some people, I've had customers go, wow, that's extremely high. But understand that there is something called comps, which are comparables, that the prices of the homes are based on, and they can go back as far as 6 months to compare with the home that's being sold. So, when you're negotiating a price, yes, it is my job to do the homework to look and see what the home is, worth versus, the market. Compare the two. You want to make an offer that is a good offer. And I always tell people you want to make an offer where everyone wins. You know, you get what you want, the seller gets what they want also. No one can come out feeling like they didn't get a deal. So you never want to make an offer that's insulting. And most times when
Right.
it's too low, I will let my buyers know that, that's a little too low to even, present.
Make an offer, right? Okay,
Yeah,
and that makes sense. That makes sense, right? Because you're both negotiating good faith, right?
exactly.
So what questions, right? So I'm looking for an agent, and maybe this is like the third consultation I've been on, right? And I didn't feel the vibe. I didn't feel the vibe of the first one, and might have felt it a little bit. So what kind of questions should I be asking an agent when I'm sitting down and meeting with them?
The first one is, what is their availability? You want to know, because some agents are still working a full-time job here. So you want to know if they're what their availability is. You could have a good home come on the market during the week, and the way the homes are flying off the market here now, it won't be available come the weekend when they're ready to show you. So you definitely want to know, and I think it's always wise to know and know that you're working with a full-time agent. I don't want to insult my part times. Some are very dedicated, but when you
Uh-oh.
have a full agent, they are in the trench every day. They know the market. They're keeping up with what's going on. They're working their area, so they are a better resource to tell you about what's going on, what's happening, getting those homes that hit the market that meet your criteria to you faster.
And so I'm gonna go kind of off because we almost the time is just flying by, right? So we got about like maybe 4 or 5 more minutes. So just a little off kind of what we were talking about. So what are some of the areas that you're working in? Like what's a hot area like right now? Like I remember speaking with you before a couple of years ago, and you were like, listen, I know you might not really, I know you're not thinking about like Far Rockaway, but Far Rockaway is like a hot area, right? So like what are the hot I know so many people want to live in Brooklyn. I don't understand why, right? But shout out to all my Brooklyn people. Do not send me any emails telling me that whatever, right? But like, what is a hot area right? What is like a hot area right now? And I know you also do Long Island, and I know we talked about like the benefits and the. So we're gonna get into that part. So like, what are the hot areas right now in terms of
So
like in
yeah,
terms of
so areas that I specialize is Queens, Nassau, Brooklyn, and I dabble here and there in the Bronx. So I'm not opposed to showing and getting you over to the Bronx area, but the hot area right now is Long Island. With the interest rates being so low, people who typically would not be able to afford that area are now able to purchase a home in that area because the interest rates are so low and so good. The caveat to that, of course, Long Island has the taxes, right? However, you do have the star, which you could apply for. You would need someone to apply for that for you, so you'll get the best rate. But yeah, Nassau is hot. Houses are not staying on the market in Nassau. You're getting that land, you're getting that space, you're getting that real residential, suburban, good school districts. People are very impressed with those schools in that area. So
I saw
Long
someone just type
Island
Elmont. Someone typed Elmont. So I'm guessing Elmont is one of the areas that she's looking at. Shout out to Sophia. She's at Elmont. So I think we just gave people like I said a basic overview, right? One of the I think what else we said we were going to talk about. I just mentioned it
So
and I
I
forgot,
just want
right?
in their consultation too, just to follow up, you want to talk about availability. Of course, you want to know how long they've been an agent, and key is what professional references do they have. I normally send my Zillow link so people can see what my customers have written about me. I have personal referrals that have been written, so it's good to know just to kind of get a feel, but you always have to use discernment when choosing an agent. And when it comes to the buyer's agreement, it's like think of it as an employment contract. Like when you go get a new job, you're on probation for 90 days, right? So if that situation is not working within that 90 days, you can always cancel, but it's something that is letting you know, hey, this person is going to be loyal. They're going to have disclosure with you, confidentiality, accountability, reasonable and care and skill when helping you purchase this home, because this is a huge purchase and probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make
Of your life,
in
right,
your
right,
life.
right. And I
Make
know 30 minutes is gone, so we're gonna do 35 minutes. I don't want to do 5 extra quick minutes, right?
oh, okay.
Just five. We're gonna save a lot for part two. But so
Questions.
now, because we're just doing the basic process, so now I've consulted. I'm feeling your vibe. I'm like, yes, okay. I have a feeling you're gonna have my best interest. Um, so now we're gonna go out. What do we do? We go out searching, or do you send me homes? Do I send you homes? Do I send you out to homes? Can I send you out for me in case I don't feel like going? And like,
So
can you? How does
for me,
that work?
I'm very structured. So I will sit down and we're going to look at homes. We're going to meet up, and if we can't meet up, we're going to talk about what it is that you want in a home, what location, what type, what styles, because we want to find out what the expectations are. Sometimes the expectations when you've never bought a home are a little bit more than what New York has to give. So when buying a home, there's always a give and take process. So I want to just kind of address those expectations, find out what are the needs, what are the wants, and go from there. And how I do it is we'll send emails out and I'll say, hey, these are homes that may and may not be available. They're showing available. I will have to call, but look at them, send me back the ML number. I will do all the research, set
What's
the
the
appointment.
ML number?
ML
I hear
is
terms and I'm like, what is that? Right. So someone out there saying, what is that? So what is the ML number? Is that like
so
a listing, some kind of?
yes, it's a listing number. Most of
Okay.
the listing numbers in New York start with a three. Sometimes with the New York MLS, it starts with a
Okay.
four, and Bronx and other areas can be H, start with an H. So
Okay. So you'll
those, and
see that. So you'll see that on like a Zillow or something, or like say I'm
yeah,
looking through Zillow or what's the other one? Like Realtor.com or Truly or
yes.
something. They'll have an MLS number there or something like that, and I can maybe send
In
that
most
to you.
cases, yes,
Okay.
it will, but I will send you homes directly from our MLS system,
From
which will
you.
have,
Okay.
and I am very thorough to explain where that number is at and what we'll do. So we'll set up appointments based on your availability, and we'll just hit each one that we can. And what I have is a buyer's package, so it gives you the definitions of a lot of the terminology you'll hear. It'll tell you, I have a will that'll tell you the process and where you're at, so you can track what you're doing and what you're going to be doing next. And I have a sheet where you write down the differences in the homes that you're seeing, because sometimes we can see a lot of homes and it just starts running together. So I
Right.
really
Right.
set buyers up for success. And like I said, the focus really is educating on this process and making it a good experience.
All right, so folks, we have 2 more minutes. I knew this. I knew this half an hour was going to go by quick. If anybody has any questions, feel free to type them in. If you guys want to give us a call, what's the number? If you guys want to give us a call, this is the number. You guys can call us. But we're talking with Vanessa Cannon. She's a real estate agent here in New York, also in other places. I'm going to just flash her information up here so you guys can see it. For everyone that's just hold on, let me put that up there. There we go. All right. So if you guys want to get in touch with Vanessa, this is her number: 347-674-8606. That number once again, 347-674-8606. You guys can always reach out to her. She's very responsive. You guys can, like I said, just sit down, have that consultation. All right. Someone asked a question here. I see a question. Um, the person said that, and this is a very good question with what's going on with COVID. She said, do we have to go out, or is there a virtual viewing as well? So how have you like kind of changed a little bit because of everything that's because I saw a signing one time that you did on with doing this COVID time, right? So do they have to actually go out now? Uh-oh. I think you froze up a little bit. All right, what's happening? What's happening? All right.
Oh,
Okay. We lost signal. All right, that question knocked it out the box. All right, so we're gonna wait for Vanessa to get back here. Hold on a second. Let's move off the screen for a second. So the question that was asked is, do we have to go out, or is there a virtual viewing as well? I gotta say good evening to Cheryl. If you guys have not tuned into Cheryl's show yet, okay, so we have Vanessa back. Vanessa, you're back?
yes. So
Okay. All right.
virtual showing.
Got you. So the
So
question, the
you
question she had is virtual showing. Is there any virtual viewings?
you do have virtual viewings, but in reality, no one buys a home virtually. Why? Because you need to go in the home. You need to feel that this is home. You will find that you will find some great pictures that are edited, but then go into the house and it's not what you see. So
Good
I
point.
would never allow someone to buy a home virtually. It's good to see in advance before you go out and look at it, but you have to go in. You have to feel the air, the vibe, the space. You can't do that virtually. You have to be there.
Right. And Sophia said, my sister's looking to buy a home. Inbox me her info. Absolutely, I'll do that. Absolutely, I'll do that. Somebody said, okay. All right, good. So that was about the information we just talked about, the virtual. So guys, if there are not any more questions, once again, the number is 718-484-8047. If you guys have any questions, this is, like I said, the basic overview. So we're going out. I found a home. Can I steal like 3 more quick minutes? Can I steal like 3 more quick minutes? All right. So this is like a 30 talk and it's like going into a 40 talk. So I'm actually going to be done in 3 minutes, people. Right. So we're going out. We found a home and I made an offer. Right. That's what it's called. I made an offer to purchase the home. Right.
Yes.
And what happens after that point?
Well, let's not forget my great negotiation skills
Well,
that I'm
well, you,
going
well, you know
for.
what? They wanted five
Right.
hundred thousand. They wanted all the money that I got pre-approved for, and you said, you know what? No, I think 490 is a little better. Make an offer for 490. Um, and what happens at that point? And they
So
they accept it.
and they accept it. Okay, sometimes it takes about 24 hours for the seller to decide. And once they accept it, what we have to do now is go ahead and move forward towards the inspection. You want to get that immediately because an accepted offer is just that. Nothing is final until the ink is dry on the contract. So your 490, actually, if you wait a week or until, let's say the offer was accepted Monday and you go, oh, I can't be off until Saturday, I guarantee you someone is going to present a higher offer and you've lost the house that you wanted.
Wow. That's very important to know. See, that's something I didn't know. For Cheryl, who just said you want to learn more about first time homeowners program, we're going to talk about, we have the financials, most of the financial stuff coming up on another show. So they accepted the offer. You have the inspection, right? Inspection, and then what comes after that part of the inspection? What
So
happens after the inspection?
the inspection, what takes place in the inspection? They
Well,
inspect
well after the well, let's just give it like so. The
after.
inspection is done,
Okay, so the
right?
inspection is done. Now we're at the attorney's office. The attorney is reviewing the inspection with you, and you're signing the contracts if everything is okay. And you're
That's my
also,
attorney
yes, your attorney.
that I'm paying for in the closing.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
got it. All right. See, making sure.
you sign the contract, you will be bringing the funds so that the seller's attorney will leave in his escrow, which then will be added to the closing or deducted, I should say, from the closing cost at the table.
Got you. So everything looks good. We're sitting down. So the next step at that point would be is appraisal done at some point after all or that's during that process,
So
right?
I would like to say a disclaimer. We're speeding this up quite a bit.
I
So
know. All right. So you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna leave. What we're gonna do? We're gonna leave some people hanging. I know we're gonna leave you guys hanging. So right now, here's what we're gonna do. This is a 30. This was a 30 talk, and we're gonna save a lot of this for part two. So if everyone can remember where we left off, we're now with the attorney, right? We're now with the attorney. The attorney is looking over everything and just making sure everything is okay. And so that's a lot of the basic process, right? So we're trying to get you towards the end of the process with where you actually sign and you get the keys and you're like, you take that nice picture. You see everybody I bought my dream home. So on our next show, we're gonna try to do a lot more of the financial piece, right? So we're gonna backtrack a little bit and talk about certain programs like first time homeowners program. Get a little bit more into the credit part. Like I know you said a very good starting point is a 650
640.
640. It's a good starting point. um Somebody asks a question, and I don't know, we're gonna, I think that's a question that we're gonna table for next time. Somebody said, if the seller accepts an offer for 500K and the house appraises for 480K, does the purchase price become 480, or would you still have to pay 500K? That's a good question. So
Question. But
that's, those are the type of questions. Like I said, we're gonna table everything for today because we are now 11 minutes overdue, and this is called 30 Talk for a reason. But it was just getting so nice towards the end, right? So thank everybody for coming in. For those of you that asked for the information, I'm gonna put her information up there. 640 is the credit, right? 640 is the credit. 640 is
right,
the credit score,
right.
right?
And
So
if you need help with your credit, I have a awesome lady that I could refer you to. Trust me, when I say I have a team of people, I have a team of people. You do not have to search for anything.
right. So for those of you that's out there, get a pen and paper right now. I'm going to put her number and information up again so you guys can get it. So I want everyone out there to get this information so you guys can reach out to her, get in touch with her. And if you need, if maybe your credit is now at a 620, you just a 630, and you need just a little boost, you need to work out some things, you can work that out for you guys, right? So get your pen and papers. Maybe take your phone out to take a screenshot of what I'm about to put up. So I need everyone out here to get it together. All right, are we ready? All right, here it is. Her name is Vanessa Cannon, right? Her number 347-674-8606. And her email is vcsellshomes@gmail.com. Once again, that's vcsellshomes@gmail.com. So people, that's it. That's it for today. That's the beginning. That's the 101 course. Next time we're gonna do the 102, right? And then
Yep.
we're gonna close it up with we're gonna just bring it all together. So people, if you guys have any more information, any more questions, please feel free to email me during the week. And I'd like to thank Vanessa once again for being here with us today and just giving all this information out. For
Thank you
those of you
for
that missed,
having me.
no problem. For those of you that missed it, this is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch to look at anytime. If you guys missed to go back over some of the information that was given. Thank you guys so much, and we're out.